If you feel that the right way to review a grand test or the smart way is by putting a timer of 5 or 10 minutes per question and then reviewing it, no, that's a wrong strategy, which many of you make mistake in. Even if you put a timer of just 5 minutes, it would take you a total of 17 hours to review 200 questions, meaning 2 days wasted in just giving and analyzing a grand test. And do you think you'll be able to revise whatever you learned through this before the exam and apply it in the actual exam? No. So hi everyone, this is Dr. Aman Tilak, and in this particular video, I will cover how to analyze the grand tests in the right way. This will be important for all those students who will be giving NEET-PG or INICET, and will also be helpful for students who will be appearing in FMGE students and some students who are still watching this video and are NEET UG aspirants as well. Now, you have to understand that grand test is a diagnostic tool. It is not just a scorecard, and you have to optimize its performance parameters, and accuracy being just one of those. So the scorecard is not the grand test. There are a lot of performance parameters and accuracy is just one of them. The other even more important ones are knowledge gap index, meaning identifying your low scoring subjects as well as those areas which would require less efforts and high output, meaning the high yield content. Recall failure rate, you read something, you are unable to recall it in the actual exam. Conceptual error rate, meaning you made a question wrong because you did not have that concept right. You work on that concept, you will be thorough with it and you will remember it for a longer time. Negative marking burden, meaning how many questions did you do wrong and how many marks did you lose because of negative marking. Then one of the most important parameters which I say in today's world in reviewing a grand test is the review efficiency. Meaning how much time did it take you to review a particular grand test? Because more the time it takes, the lesser time you will have to read for other subjects, to do self-study and a lot of other things. So the rule of thumb is that a grand test you are appearing in 3.5 hours, that's fine. Take a break of half an hour after appearing in the grand test. Then you should put a timer, a total of 6 hours to review one particular grand test, not more than that. And this would look easy, but this would actually translate to, even if you have, let's suppose if you did 100 questions wrong and a total of 100 questions correct, 100 questions wrong plus left. So in just reviewing these 100 questions, even if you allocate 3 minutes per question, it would take you 300 minutes. So you have just 3 minutes to review a particular question. Now, this is something very difficult. And how do you do it? If you do it the right way, you'll be able to do it. Now, what is the rapid review secrets which I use? So first thing is that you can switch on a timer. Initially, you can put a timer for 300 seconds, meaning 5 minutes, to review a particular question and its explanation. Later on, maybe after a week or so, after a month maybe, you may decrease this duration to 150 seconds, that is 2.5 minutes per question. So from a timer of 5 minutes, you are reducing it to 2.5 minutes. Mind it, you still have 3 minutes to review per question, and you are planning in advance for your inefficiency by putting this timer. So put a timer, and now how does a timer help? Now you know that you have just 3 minutes to review a particular question. Now it will be at times impossible to review through the entire text of the explanation. So you just focus on the bolds, leave the rest. Don't have the FOMO that you will miss out some important content. That is fine. Just go through the bolds. Next thing is that you just review wrong and unattempted questions. Have confidence in yourself. If there were 100 questions which you attempted correctly, if there is a grand test again or they come in your actual exam, you'll be able to do them right again. So don't do paralysis by analysis. That is what I always say. So just review the wrong and the unattempted questions. Now, you have to other important message to you is that the silly mistakes which you do. So let's suppose there is a question which you just left the word incorrect, which of the following statements is incorrect, and you made a mistake in that. Put a 60 seconds timer for those specific questions. Just review them, re-attempt it, I would say, and don't go through their explanations and go to the next question. Save times for those questions your concepts are wrong and which would require much more time. Then the most important tip while doing a rapid review of the grand test is skip useless questions. So a lot of popular coaching platforms have those questions which are actually useless, which will not be coming in your actual exam, which are just to make you feel that their content is good. Some questions which will be specifically from the notes of the teacher which would have taught. And these are what we call as biased grand tests. So it is important that you straightforward skip these questions. These are just going to waste your time and will not help you secure a better rank. So what do you want to do if you just want to eliminate the problem of having so many useless questions? So under my directions, we have prepared a high yield PYT, previous year topic based question bank and grand test series for all of you. So one of the question from this is below. So the question is boundaries of inguinal canal. Which of the following statement is correct? So to be able to answer this, you need to know the boundaries of the inguinal canal correctly. Now these are the boundaries of the inguinal canal. Now it is clearly explained that why the other options are incorrect, and a mnemonic is given to help you remember the relations and the walls and boundaries of the inguinal canal. That is pretty much it. If you read it, it will not take you more than 1.5 minutes, and to memorize it, it will take you maybe 2.5, 3 minutes. That is all it would take you. So we have ensured that the length of explanation is consistent and small, something which you will be able to revise it and which you will be able to read in a matter of 2.5 minutes per question, not more than that. Similarly, there is another question in which a patient, a 54-year-old male, has complaints of facial puffiness, dyspnea, and dilated veins over the upper chest and neck. Now, this is a case of superior vena cava syndrome. Now, you need to identify which is the next best step. These are the questions which are a lot of time asked recently in the INICET and NEET-PG examination. The trend has changed. Now, what do you need to know in this? You need to know the CT findings. You need to know what do you do in such a patient, what will be the next step and what will be the next step, and what are the common causes of superior vena cava syndrome and why are other options incorrect. That is all you need to know. It will take you just a matter of 2.5 minutes to review through this the explanation of this particular question. And similarly, what I have done is, rather than me saying, you can just download the PGprep Essential app on Google Play Store or the My Institute app on the Apple Store and put the org code as XCDSYS. And there are some questions, some tests which have been made free for you completely. You can go ahead and see them, attempt before you enroll, so that you have a pretty good idea about what I am talking, that what is the right and unbiased manner. May GT, what is the meaning of that? Now, we are conducting one grand test, one unbiased grand test, PYT related. These are not as such PYQ repeats. These are previous year topic based questions every first Sunday of every month. And this we'll be consistently doing, and you have to just keep attempting these unbiased grand tests. Apart from this, there is a topic wise question bank for each subject, all of the 19 subjects, put in a mini test manner. And the subscription of all of this is at the cost of 1/6 or 1/10 of the normal coaching subscription, just 199 for the entire 1 year. You can first check it and only then enroll. Now, my another important suggestion for all of you is that while reviewing a grand test, do not endlessly bookmark each and every question which you have done wrong, or else you will end up like this guy who had bookmarked 6,000 to 7,000 questions, and 1 week before the NEET-PG examination, he felt that he would not be able to revise it, and it was too late by then. Now, what do you have to do then? So don't just bookmark, curate, don't dump, make a super concise mistakes copy. So this is a particular question from a grand test in PGprep Essential app. So what are the stages of iron toxicity? So here is the explanation for the same. Now, instead of bookmarking this particular question, what you can instead write is, just in your mistake notebook, just write a single line. In just a single line, write that iron toxicity dash, you write gastrointestinal GI phase, arrow, latent phase, arrow, systemic toxicity phase, and dash late complication if you want to write, and the duration for those. That is all in a single line. You are done with it, and when you revise it, it would take you a matter of 15-20 seconds. Instead of going through the entire question, it would take you still 1.5-2 minutes. That is how you speed up your revision. You are able to actually make the most of whatever you have done wrong in the grand test. Now, another revolutionary idea which I am presenting to you is something which you don't even know is happening. Now, what is happening is that I'll try to explain this with an analogy. So there is a particular grand test which you have reviewed just now. 1 month later, the same grand test is allotted to you. It is evident that your marks would definitely improve. But is this a real improvement, or is this because you had reviewed that particular grand test the last month? The second thing is the right answer. Similarly, what happens is that because you have already done previous year questions so many times and so many resources they have been done, and you have already done them a lot of times. So if you just give previous year questions as a grand test, you will falsely score a higher marks and you will feel that your preparation is much better, and you might get a wrong impression. So in today's scenario, I'm not saying that previous year questions are not important. Yes, they are crucial, but previous year topics are as important as previous year questions. The examiners have also understood that now everyone knows that previous year questions are important, so they are less repeating the previous year questions as such, and they are instead focusing on previous year topics. So what we are doing that in the grand test of PGprep Essential app, we are making those questions on previous year topics. And what I have done is that I have compiled all the NEET-PG and INICET important previous year topics on my Telegram channel PGprep with Dr. Aman Tilak, which you can download for free. So this is another thing which you need to understand. So don't feel that if there is a PYQ test which you score a high marks, you might be getting a wrong impression. You need to get the right impression. Now, what to do when your score is genuinely stuck? Now, if your score is stagnant for the past 5 or 6 GTs, what I would say to you is that please analyze all these GTs once again to analyze what were the recall gaps, or what were those areas which you avoided even after knowing that those were weak, because there are some demotivating topics which you tend to procrastinate and leave for later. Please reread the topics in which you had made the most mistakes and those avoided topics. And after that, whenever you read a particular topic, consolidate it by giving a mini test, I would say. Only then it will stay with you and you will be able to apply in the real exam. So for example, you analyze that in the past 5 grand tests, you made mistakes in neuroanatomy. So you go to PGprep Essential app, go to anatomy, go to neuroanatomy. There are 3 mini tests, 45-50 questions. That is all. After reading neuroanatomy, you go and do these tests, consolidate them by doing this, and that is all. You are done with it. Next month on the first Sunday, you again give that unbiased GT, and you will slowly see that your score is improving. Now, the take home points from this video would be: every wrong question has a root cause. It is you to identify it and work on it and improve it. Your grand test is not just the scorecard, it is a diagnostic tool, and you have to learn to use all its performance parameters appropriately. Learn to skip content without the FOMO that yahan se question aa gaya, then what? Please don't have that FOMO. Don't just bookmark, annotate in the mistake notebook so that you are able to revise it later on. Track performance parameters and just not marks. That is all for this video. I hope this video would have helped you. Please do analyze your grand tests in the right manner from now on. I wish you all the very, very best. Now, I would highly recommend you to watch my video on how to retain all the 19 subjects for NEET, PG or INICET if you are preparing by clicking here. Take care. I love you all and my best wishes for your upcoming NEET, PG or INICET attempt, irrespective of whenever you are going to give it, this year, next year or next to next year. Doesn't matter. Wish you all the very best.